I'm always very shaky doing this because I have very high blood pressure. So today I'm going to be super duper shaky. So I hope you'll bear with me and I'll try and talk slowly. So for my personal project, I revisited a very major trauma I had 15 years ago when I had a brain hemorrhage and was flown to hospital in a helicopter in Germany. I had a major brain operation and was put in an artificial coma for 6 weeks. And for this project, I started working on wet paintings, which I hadn't always found easy, but trusted the healing process of the work that we had done. This is the first one, and I used words as well because I needed words to remember. This is called Bursting with Pain, Brain Hemorrhage, Telephone Panic, Helicopter, Falling, Unconscious, Men Rushing, Deep Sleep, Unconscious. And this is number 2, which is Head Explosion, Cold, Scared, Life or Death. And then this one here is Holding On, Shaking and Too Scared. In hospital, half awake, quiet clinical smell. Supposed to feel anxious, more whispers, shaky, nervous, no voice, can't drink, need water, press help bell, too scared, sleep. And then this one is here. I actually really related to this one a lot because this is when I woke up in the hospital after having gone through all this. So this is for me. Stuck in hospital, disorientated, sad, tired, bored, exercises with more exercises, friends visits, smiles, still here, family visits, more tears. And then this one here is getting quite better. So this is home, shaky, hope, alive, fresh air, open sky, by the lake, Yui my osteopath, acupuncture, family hugs, evening board games, getting strong. And this is number 6 here. And I really love turquoise. So this is turquoise, comes alive, sunshine heals, gratitude, family parents visit, love, tears, easier smiles, busy again, open, English, cinema. And there's a picture down here of the cinema I opened in my garden and in Germany. It was a long time in hospital and I spoke little German. My family organised for good friends to visit me, to talk of old times and laugh again. Humour really helped and made good connections. I asked my friends to send over any pretty pants as I was so fed up with my hospital ones. For a long time I had parcels which arrived in the post with pretty pants in, and I displayed them behind my wall, behind the bed that I was in all the time. And it caused much amusement for all the hospital staff, and the doctor actually called my husband to tell he was a little bit concerned about my behaviour. But however, my husband assured him it was normal for me and I would be getting a bit better. So when I was in hospital, I was able to see an art therapist, which I enjoyed very much. And one day he asked me to paint 3 things I would leave in hospital and 3 things I would take with me when I left, which I thought was a really interesting idea. The 3 things that I left in the hospital were these ones. This is a horrible mobility boot that I had to wear because I couldn't walk. When I came out to the coma, I had to learn to walk again, so I was in a wheelchair for a long time, and they made these boots for me, which were like really horrible ski boots. So I leave them in the hospital, and I did a collage of that. The syringes here, which I hated because I had to have so many injections. And number 3 is here, was the bad food. The food in the hospital was appalling, absolutely awful. German food isn't always my favourite, but my supper was normally a piece of brown bread, often stale, with a piece of ham on it and a gherkin. And it was just unbelievable. So on here, as I couldn't find very many, I couldn't find very many pictures of horrible food. So in here, I put all my favourite foods I dreamt about when I was in hospital. And in the middle is fish and chips, of course. So that was really good. Then what 3 things, of course, I would take with me were all the pants here, which were hanging behind my bed the whole time I was there. And the love and care from the nurses, which was here, which I made in a heart, because they were amazing. Sometimes I had to have a nurse by me all the time. So they were really incredible. And the photos here, these are all things which inspired me to wake up in my memory, because I had to remember who I was and what my identity was again, really, which is jolly hard. So people send me photos of my family and what I was doing with my friends. And then I got gorgeous, gorgeous pictures from people. I put them up beside the bed. That's my donkey I used to have. And my son did that one, which is the most beautiful picture I did. And I have those beside my bed, so I took them with me as well. So those are the 3 important things that I left in the hospital. And then the 3 things that I took with me. Right. Now, my son, of course, was only 9 when I was in hospital. And it was so hard for him seeing me surrounded by machines, but he and my husband supported me very well, I must say. I was very confused at the time, and one day I told my son Charlie I had eaten little birds that were sitting on my windowsill, which he thought was very funny. I also phoned my workshop in Lewis, all the way from Germany, hospital bed, and invited them all to a party I was having, and did they like lemon cake I was going to make. So a lot of people had to be very, you take a lot of what I said with a pinch of salt, really. There were different nationalities in the hospital. This is in the rehab hospital after I'd had the major operation, because there you get a lot of people who have to learn to walk again and use their body and things. And I was so impressed by the Arabic women, who were amazing. They continued wearing their burqa outfits, these long black robes with their headdresses, with just their eyes showing. It was amazing. And they looked so awkward as the long black robes got tangled in their pedals. But they all did it. I couldn't believe it. They were all lights with these black long robes, peddling these pikes, trying to get it. But they had wanted to wear their outfits all the time to keep their identity, I think. They didn't like the German food, so they hid it under their clothes and then secretly threw it away, which I thought was a really clever idea because I never knew what to do with life. Anyway, they loved looking at my jewellery, which was really lovely to me because, I was wearing earrings. But I had a little box beside my bed with jewellery, and they used to come and look at it and who are at it and everything, which really helped me feel myself again. Because when you've been through such a big trauma, you need to find familiar things, which is really, really important. The most important part of this personal work, though, was the clay work I put on the table there. To illustrate my personal journey, I decided to do footsteps, because it was rather amazing that I was riding in a helicopter, but went out walking timidly, but I walked out of that hospital, which is pretty incredible, really. So this was the first simple foot, because it was so tentative when I walked out, and I used clay and I just did a footprint of my foot. These ones curved, because I suddenly got braver. I opened my cinema, like in the cinema, which has to be here, which everybody don't really know. But it was very funny when I opened it because it was for the locals, really, so that they could make connections with me, because I didn't know anything about the work in Germany, and I needed friends. Anyway, all I did was I asked them to bring along with them a chair, because I didn't have lots of chairs, a bottle of wine, of course, and a bag of crisps. And it was really good. They absolutely loved it. It was a huge success. However, I still was very, very homesick for England and was tired of Germany, actually, and trying to make an effort and always looked like the mad one. So when my son moved away to college and my husband showed interest in other women, and I don't blame him because he'd been through a hell of a lot with me, I needed to move back to England. But then I heard about the thing where he wanted a divorce. So I thought, all right, I'll make a divorce statement on it. And I made them here. And when I was waiting for them to dry, they cracked. Down here, look, is there any interest? Well, yes, actually, because it's rather symbolic. So I left it there. But I did actually paint it, as you can see here, with gold. In fact, I'm really happy that I'm still friends with my husband, that he still supports me because he knows what I went through. So that's why that had to be gone. And then my son, who was absolutely fantastic, helping me moving stuff, this is him. And I painted him with gold tones. That was just wonderful. He was just my best friend. So that was really good. Okay, so this was the most important part of the work, actually, that I did with the play work, with the footsteps. I really, really enjoyed it. And in fact, the thing that I found really good was this technique, which I found wonderful. Here, you can see, it's where you build up, drop little bits of clay from a high height down, and there's build up around your feet. And I remember really loving this when I did it at college here. I thought it was a lovely technique because it was so gentle and it was so subtle, just slowly dropping these pieces. You can see I'm doing it here, and I was building them up around my feet, really enjoying it. So I did that and really loved it. And while I was doing it, I went into a sort of meditative state, actually. And I remember thinking the whole time, the journey I'd been on, and it was so reassuring. I thought, this is amazing. I'm really enjoying doing this. And I don't like going to places I don't want to go to, as most of my nerves. But this time, I really felt I had to look at what I'd been through, and it was actually very good for me. It was a huge release. Anyway, so doing this gentle job of the clay was such a lovely, subtle process that I thought it would be a really useful thing to remember to carry on with other people who might work on this. I think it's beautiful. I don't know whether you know, but I think it's really lovely. And then as I built up this technique, I seemed to make a slip up around my foot, which I thought was really interesting. So I made it into a slipper. And this is it here. Because this actually replicates my home thing. It's the slipper. And I was so happy to be back with my tribe in England, in my home, working at times. I thought that is my favourite thing I did. I had to plant flowers in it because that is really where I've come from. So I'm quite proud of that one. And it has got gold lines as well. Because I think the gold just is a celebration. After I'd finished all the feet, the last things I wanted to do were these things here, which is about the future rule one day. And this is symbolized in waves, because I think waves, a wave and the movement of the sea is about moving forward and moving on. So I made the wave gold, because I thought I'm going to move on, I move forward now. So that is that wave. And so then the other one here is shattered, and this is shell which has a gold inside of it, with a bit of magic in it. So this is all about going on in the future with hope and trust. That's all we can do. So that's about that. Yeah. Right, Jenny, can I just ask you about the what's not the pictures up in the wall if you go to the far right? Yes. Yes, these are my feet in sand here. Because I really love putting my feet in sand, and I realised that the feet in sand are so comfy and they're hidden. So that is very comfortable. And this is when they come out and then it's just paddling in the sea. That's how.
Jen, your ceramics are really beautiful, and I particularly like how you use gold. It's really brave that you use it.
That was the hard thing to do, actually.
And it gives me a bigger picture, it's well-rounded.
Okay.
Appreciate.
Yeah, to be honest, these are the hardest things to do, the sort of stories. They really work. As everyone knows, I don't like going to the dark side. And I'm always trying to escape it in my work. And I just thought, but I have to do this. I've got to try and communicate what happened, and it was bloody serious what happened. But it did help having the words. It really did, because and it's too weird what comes back, because I blocked loads of it out. And then I suddenly remembered, oh yes, the clinical smell. And I remembered pressing this buzzing bell that you have beside your bed, to get help. And then nobody coming or them coming too late. And I remembered all those things that I wrote just letters. They're not made up, like not being able to drink but needing water. Because I was artificially kept alive, so I had all this artificial food for me for so long. And when you come round from something like that, it's pretty heavy, because they don't even know if you are going to come and put down with the people who are around you, because he's 6 weeks dead already, isn't it? So, I think now, basically, I'm just full of gratitude. But I do remember, because I do remember funny things about this. When I came round, my husband was there, or was sick, so he was very concerned. And he looked down at me, and I opened my eyes and came round, and he said, "Oh my God, you're awake." And I said, "Yes." And I thought, and I remember thinking, he looks really, really worried and awful. I better make him laugh, because I don't think they're coming up with that, as you know. So I just looked at him, and he said, "What do you want? Do you want something?" And I just looked up at him and said, "Yes, I'd like a pint of beer now." And he just went, "Oh my God, she's all right." So that was the kind of feeling that I tried to get through this difficult time, because it was quite a few months I was interested in, and had to get through it, with humour. And I really hope I'm going to be able to continue on to do some work, in an art therapy groups and mental work, and looking forward to doing it.
Jenny, the foot foods, there's such a celebration of you're still walking on the earth, which is, I think that's amazing that you found that, to resent that really as you say, the gratitude you keep expressing really for being here. Not such a extreme experience. Yeah. Which art there was your most enjoyable? It was definitely this project here because I love doing the clay work very much, and then doing this dropping the clay I found really moving. And then I loved having clay between my toes and your toe. And I think that making that out of dropping the clay was probably the best thing for me. And that just showed me, because also I did it very slowly. And so it was very personal, meditative experience. And that's finally free. And I'm very lucky to be alive, to be honest. I just carry on now for the rest of me, because I didn't like living in Germany, but I'm very grateful to the fact that they saved my life, so I could come back here.